So the movie begins in 1956. We are shown a priest who came to the church in a hurry, and he also had a child with him who had a birthmark on his body. This birthmark was not a common birthmark, but this birthmark was a devilish sign, which meant that this child can become a devil when he grows up and can also cause any kind of destruction. That is why the priest, scared and asking for forgiveness from God, tries to kill this child, but the police arrives and stops him from doing so. However, the priest also tells the police not to stop me. You don't know what will be the result of this. But the police, fearing that the priest might kill the child right there, shoot the priest and kill the child, and the child is finally saved. After this, 30 years pass in the film, and we are shown the main factor of the movie, Mark. At this time, Mark was in the guise of a priest, but in reality he was an undercover agent. He had to investigate the case of disappearance of 7 girls. That too by going to a church. The police knew that those women were last seen going inside this church, but they were missing since then. Now, since the church was their place of worship, they did not want to create any scandal by sending the police there. That is why they sent Mark inside as an undercover agent. On going inside, Mark meets the priest Andre, who takes Mark on a tour of the entire church. Priest Andre also shows Mark his room and warns him not to come out of his room even by mistake at midnight. Otherwise, he himself will be responsible for the consequences. Mark goes inside and he starts finding this place very strange because there was no electricity here. There were no mobile signals either, and this place was completely cut off from the outside world. Shaking off all his thoughts, Mike now decides to freshen up, and as soon as he takes off his shirt, a big twist is revealed to us that Mike is actually the same child who was saved by the police from the priest in the beginning of the movie, on whose body that devilish mark is imprinted, but he still does not know his reality. After this, Mark takes out some files, camera and gun from his secret suitcase. These files contained all the biodata of those 7 girls who were not found since coming to this church. Mark was here on a very big mission. He did not only have to find these girls, he also had to find out the truth about what these people do here. After some time, Mark is called for dinner, and Mark sees that they were given a very strange kind of food. This food was smelly. There was a strange sticky liquid in it. It seemed that it was some kind of meat, but he had never eaten such meat before today. It was a rubber-like meat, and while eating it, he started vomiting. But to show himself as normal and like everyone else, he eats this food while controlling his expressions. After this, Mark goes on his mission. He starts visiting the whole church and passes through a corridor, where he sees a girl on the other side. This girl looked crazy. There was a priest with her. After some time, Mark along with all the new priests are called here, and it is told that these people do exorcism of such people in this church who are after demons. According to these priests, the crazy girl that Mark had seen earlier was in the possession of a demon. She was possessed by a demon, and to cure her, these people had to do exorcism now. Priest Andre takes Maya to a room where he was going to do exorcism of a girl. The girl was tied to a bed, and a lot of candles were also lit here. As soon as all of them went there, this girl started doing strange things. Her voice changes. It becomes terrifying. Her bed starts shaking, and a strange kind of silence spreads all around. A Christian was also recording all these things. When Mark asks him, "Why are you recording these things?" he says that we have to tell our big church what we do here. Finally, the exorcism starts. A priest starts reading some incantations here, and suddenly the crucifix in his hand catches fire. But he does not change his expression. Controlling himself, he continues his exorcism. That girl starts writhing even more, and finally, after writhing in pain, she falls down. It is known that the exorcism has ended, and above it, the demon that was inside him had also come out. Whatever Mark had seen at this time disturbed him a lot. He was not aware of such a thing before. Now strange things started happening to him inside this church. When he goes to his room and touches his mirror cracks on touching it, and he hears horrifying sounds from behind the mirror, and he starts feeling a strange connection with this church. Anyway, Marek removes all these thoughts from his mind and reminds himself that he had come here on a mission. But he was not able to work on his mission because the routine of all the people in this church is very strange. The next day again, the same stinking food is served to everyone, including Mark. Mark was somehow eating it, But today a new priest who had come here was unable to eat it. He started crying. Before he leaves the food and goes away, the priest standing behind whispers something in his ear, after which the boy keeps quiet and eats the food again. After eating, when he went to his room, he actually vomited. He was also having severe pain in his teeth. When he tried to check his tooth by putting his hand in his mouth, his tooth got stuck in his hand, and when he took the tooth out and looked at it, a bug suddenly came out of his tooth and flew away. This thing scared Mark badly. But now Mike was 100% sure that there was something wrong with their food here. Anyway, it becomes night and Mike goes on his mission. He goes inside Priest Anter's room where he finds a hidden compartment. There was nothing in this hidden compartment that could be called religious or that could be used in worship. There was a lot of alcohol here. There were DVDs of strange videos and also videos of the exorcisms that these people used to make. On seeing these videos, Mark comes to know that these videos are not original, but they are just stage performances. These are fake fabricated videos that have been made to show and fool people. Here, the secret of these people is revealed that these people are not actually priests. Now Mark goes to the same room where the exorcism was simulated. He sees that the cross affix which caught fire suddenly was actually a lighter, and that day the fire was caused by pressing a button. A vibrator was also installed under the bed which was shaking. Here, the strange sounds coming in the room were a tape recording. And as far as the girl is concerned, she was not doing drama. She was a victim of these people who was given strange drugs, and because of that drug she was doing such things, and Marek also gets the injection of the same drug from under the bed. Well, now the next morning comes. These people gather in the church as per their routine. Here all of them had to pray. Today it was Marek's turn to pray. Marek says prayer in English, so all of them ask him to pray in Latin, and then he is sent aside and something else is read here instead of prayers. To eat again, he is given the same stinking meat which he had vomited the first time he ate. Today he had completely understood that this church is not an ordinary church. This is a hoax, and he feels that his life can also be in danger here. That is why he burns all those files here, so that it can be known that he had come here to investigate something. Taking his gun and camera, he prepares to run away from here. Before he leaves, he sees that some priests are digging a grave here. This was the grave of the same girl whose fake execution was done by them the previous day. This scene stops Mark from going out, and now he decides that he will not rest until he knows the truth behind all these things. He now goes to the same area where those mad people were kept. Here a priest gives him the news that everyone here knows that Mark has come here to investigate something. This priest tells him that I have come to know that you will try to escape from here now. But running away from here is not that easy, because I too had come here under the guise of these people's words like you. But then I tried a lot to run away from here but could not run away till today. Now when Mark sees that this man sympathizes with him and knows so much about him, Mark himself starts telling him all his truth. He tells that I am the Polish police, I am an agent of the church. I came here because 7 girls had disappeared from here, and one of them was the girl whose exorcism you people did in front of me and killed her. Here Pri also tells Marek the truth, that all these exorcisms are fake and are done for money. These exorcisms are done for a TV show, from where this place gets a lot of funding. Mark feels very sad on hearing this. Mark tells him that if you help me in solving this case, then I will take you out from here as well. This man does not say anything here, and Mark continues his investigation again. As soon as it is night, he goes to the basement here. This place was enough to scare him because the dead bodies of many humans were kept in this place. There were also teeth of humans lying here, who must have been killed by the people of this church, and there was also an eyeball lying here, which was still alive and was moving. Scared by this, Mark drops it on the side and it bursts and blood spills everywhere. Seeing such a creepy and strange scene, Mark also starts vomiting, and we see a lot of bugs and flyers in his vomit. Now Mark goes out of here to the same graveyard where they had buried that girl. He opens that grave, but he does not find anyone there. He was surprised that these people had buried that girl under the ground in front of his eyes, and now where had she gone? Before he could do anything else, a man comes from behind and covers his mouth and makes him unconscious. When he regains consciousness, He sees that he was tied to a bed, and in front of him was the man who had brought him unconscious. At this time, priest Andre comes in front of him who had brought food for him. The food was of the same type but was inside 4 different balls. He forcefully asks Mark to eat it. But Mark refuses to eat it and asks what all this is. These people do not tell him anything about this food but force him to eat it. But Marek refuses to eat this food and instead throws it away. So here Father Andre angrily knocks him unconscious once again. This time, when he regained consciousness, he was tied to the bed again. He saw that the man in front of him, who was keeping an eye on him, was also sleeping. So taking advantage of the situation, he freed himself. He took out the gun hidden in his leg and started fighting with the man who was keeping an eye on him. Their fight went very well, and finally David won and managed to kill him by shooting him. After which he went inside the kitchen here to know what is the food that was being fed to him, and he was shocked to see the condition of the kitchen because the reality was much more horrifying than what he was thinking. He was actually being fed the flesh of girls. The girls who were killed here in the name of exorcism. Meanwhile, the same priest who was very nice to Mark earlier also comes here again. He tells him the truth that you were eating the meat of those 7 women here who have done the worst things in their life. We are also being fed the same meat along with you. Hearing this, Mark gets scared, and now taking this man at gunpoint, he says that take me inside the library of this church. This man had to agree to Mark, and now he shows Mark a book in which it was written about this church. And from here Marek comes to know the biggest truth, that this church was not a church at all. These people were part of some cult and followed this book which was written on demons. It was written in it that after every 800 years a demonic child is born who has a special kind of mark on his body like the mark Mark also had on his body. If that child is fed the meat of 7 women who have done very bad things and then fed the blood of an innocent girl, then that child eventually becomes a demon, becomes a devil, and from here a new turn of his evil life begins. After reading all this, Mark and this man decide that they will run away from here immediately. Then this man tells Mark that I know about a secret underground tunnel here, from where I also tried to escape, but I was caught, but you are courageous. I think that with you I will get out of here through that trainer. Mark was not able to believe his words because after all he was also a part of this institute. Then this man shows a mark of his waist where there were marks of being flogged. He tells that he was flogged as a punishment for trying to escape. After seeing all this, Mark started believing his truth and decided to go with him. Mark, while chasing him, reaches that secret tunnel. This tunnel was very long, where these people were walking with lamps, and at the end of the tunnel they reach a strange place. There was no way to get out from here, but a new demonic setup was installed here. And this man was actually there to trap Mark. His mission was to bring Mark here by showing sympathy. Before Mark could think of anything or leave from here, he is made unconscious. Here we see all the people in red-colored gowns. When Mark regains consciousness, he sees that he was hung from a tree and his hands were tied by pulling them. Now a cloth was tied on his mouth as well. Priest Andre and everyone now tell Mark the truth which he had not even thought of. Mark had planned to come here to investigate a case. Whatever happened, whatever Mark saw, he saw what these people wanted. He tells that we waited for centuries for a child who has this mark on his body and who is born during the lunar eclipse, because such a child is not a human being but a born devil. Andre tells that there is a well under the stone on which he is kept at this time, and that well is actually the door to hell which these people have been protecting for years. He tells that we are not priests and neither do we believe in God. Our master is the devil and we are his slaves, and Mark has been specially chosen for them. Now these people start their ritual. A poor innocent girl is brought in front of Mark and her throat is slit and cups are filled with her blood. All these people take a sip from these cups one by one, after which this blood is forcefully poured into the mouth of Marek, and they keep his mouth up until Marek swallows it. Now the process of Marek becoming a demon had started. He had already been fed the flesh of 7 bad girls. Now he should have turned into a terrible monster as soon as he drank the blood of an innocent girl. All these people were waiting for the time when he would turn into a demon. These people were also reciting some mantras so that the evil bows could quickly enter Marek. Eventually their mantras also got over, and when these people looked back, nothing had changed there. Marek was the same as before, and Marek started laughing like a madman after seeing them and said, "What old cliches do you believe in, friend? Has anyone become a devil like this?" All these people also started getting panicky. The weight of centuries, the sacrifice of so many people, and their hard work was all going to waste. There was another big issue. Mark was a very big agent. He had not reported for many weeks, and now they had received news that the police had started investigating Mark. The police would come here any moment, and when they would start looking for evidence, the whole truth of their church would be revealed, and who knows what would happen to Mark. That is why, while reading this ritual book, they decided that they would kill Mark and then throw him in the door of hell, which has been closed for centuries. When a man had trapped Mark and brought him, he got very angry at Andre when this ritual failed, because now he had started believing Mark that no one becomes a devil like this, and they had ruined their whole life by trusting this Andre. In this anger, he kills him by putting a pillow on his face and tells everyone a lie that Andre, that is, their leader, has died due to excessive drinking. On the other hand, the people of Gulf were burning the bodies of those people whom they had murdered in the name of sacrificing to the devil. After washing the scene, we again see Andre, whose eyes were not closed by anyone. Everyone was watching the spectacle of his death, and suddenly a crucifix turns upside down in front of his eyes, after which a fly sits on his body and goes towards the well, which they were calling the door of hell, where they had thrown Mark. That fly goes into Mark's body. His dead body gets a jolt, and suddenly his eyes open. Now his body had also started twisting in a strange way. Many parts of his body had started changing. Big veins had appeared on his mouth, and the whole mouth had turned blue. And now no one was noticing all this. The scene cuts, and we are shown Andre's funeral, which the guy was doing. Suddenly his body hangs in the air. His head bursts and flies come out of it, and in no time his whole body turns into flies and flies away, and he dies. And then the real demon, i.e. Marek, enters here, who had now become a complete demon. Their ritual was not wrong. They just could not wait. Seeing Mara, all the people who try to run away from here out of fear, he hangs them upside down, like an inverted cross pix, after which we are shown the outside environment, where now dark clouds had covered the sky, and it was clear that now the world cannot be stopped from the destruction of this devil. And showing just this, the story ends here.